Hello, my loves. I'm Ellie Frost. Thank you so much for being here, subscribing, liking, and supporting this channel. We're talking about the multidimensional truth of narcissistic abuse and how to rapidly heal because we deal with it on a multidimensional level. And someone lovely asked me yesterday, could you talk about the hoover and why is it with a narcissist, the minute you are kind of back on your feet, they show up again? I mean, if you know, I've talked a lot about how honestly this predominantly is a psychic attack more than anything else. They're working in energetics, they're working and they intuitively know to do it. So remember, a narcissist has detached from their soul, they're making a conscious choice, they made a choice spiritually, they make a conscious choice every day to carry on cooperating with this entity that works through them. That's why they all act the same, in the exact same sequence. That's why they don't meet up and have a club, but they know exactly what to do to present. The consciousness of the narcissist is actually quite limited. I was saying yesterday that love is a very expansive consciousness. Now, consciousness is just awareness in the energetic field, right? And when you tap into a certain level of consciousness, it's like your awareness is now available for every thought that was ever thought and every experience ever experienced. So when they're plugged into the narcissistic consciousness, it's like they sync up. They all sync up. So the hoover, I mean, if you've experienced narcissistic hoovering, which is basically when they just know that you're back on your feet, that you finally got over them, and they come back in. Another area where we can't deny how psychic the attack is. So what do I say about this? It's like, let's talk about it. Love bombing is how they basically at the beginning psychically reflect back you to you. They're mirroring your soul. They're mirroring the way you want to be loved. They know what you need. They intuitively know what your weaknesses are, and they'll dig for them. And they want to be like your perfect match. They can't sustain that illusion. Remember, they're master magicians, so they cannot sustain this illusion of the person that they're presenting to be, which is why that stage can't go on like sustainably. And now you're dealing with Jekyll and Hyde, right? They're master illusionists. So you've never really met the person that you think they are, right? Because they're gonna show you out so you're what they need you to be. But in order to do that, they present as, and they know intuitively, everything that you want them to be. And then we've talked about the physical kind of chemical responses in our body that keep us, I mean, it's way stronger than a typical addiction, attached to them, as well as everything else that goes on. So because they work telepathically in energetics, right? And I'm teaching us here how to not just protect your field, because we don't want to be just in defense mode and having to do loads of rituals every day. This can be a lot of work. I teach people, one, to be psychically aware, energetically strong, push everything out of your field and get a robust energetic so that they can't penetrate it. People in my world get strong. But so the hoovering stage is the most predictable thing. It's crazy making the way they behave. You know, my ex-partner was so brutal, absolutely brutal in the way he treated me in the end, and I didn't expect it from him. I mean, it was just people like that, I think, should go to jail for the emotional abuse, the financial consequences, the level of lies and manipulation, and I mean, in that one, mental torture in the end. Like, unbelievable, very high, again, very strong psychic attack on me. Anyway, but what they are ultimately entitled. So one, they choose in what they do. Two, they think they've got every right to. Every time they cheat on you, every time they abuse your trust, and they're constantly abusing your trust, by the way, from the very beginning, because you've met someone who you think they are, and they're not showing you who they are. So it's already a lie. They've already broke trust. They are morally corrupt in every way, totally morally bankrupt. So, I mean, the most unbelievable thing I think about hoovering is that they don't often come back with a true apology, an authentic apology, because they will never take accountability and look at themselves. They will project everything they do as somehow your fault. You're the reason that they behave like this in some twisted, sick way. And because they think they are completely entitled to you, completely lawless, and no matter what they do, they should be able to tap back into you, especially now when you're kind of juicier. Because if you've had some time out to heal, right, get yourself back it could be financial, it could be all of the ways, or at least recover, yourself. Oh, they're going to come in for the next hit, and that's the Hoover. And the sickness of that is, there again, it's not, you'll notice if you've been with one, it rarely comes with this deep felt apology of, I did you wrong. It comes with complete entitlement now to try and love bomb you or trick you, or, you know what I mean, pretend that they've changed or something. But you can just feel nothing authentic about it. It's totally entitled, absolutely unacceptable. I've got no tolerance for this, absolutely none, absolutely none. They don't have an evolution. It's not because they've had some kind of personality change or soul attachment, and you'll feel it. And the energy of total entitlement to violate you emotionally, violate you in terms of force themselves into a new relationship. It is unbelievable to be that entitled to someone else. That's the Hoover. So again, psychically, they feel it. They feel when you're withdrawing. It's mainly a psychic attack. They feel it when you're withdrawing. Now, you can open your psychic channels, right? And just tune into your awareness more. So you can also, I don't agree in non-consensual sending things to people. I don't do that here. Please don't do that. We don't want to cause a karmic debt for ourselves, and it's just not, you don't want to play their game. But you can tune in intuitively to what's going on. We're just not taught to, one, be in our bodies and feel our emotions, right? So I was teaching in Sovereign the other day that we've got to understand that it's not just words that are important, it's energetic transmission. That's why someone can say something, but you feel it's off. And we tend to trust the logic more than our feelings, and that's where we're going wrong. So everything's an energetic transmission beyond the words, right? So we've got to be in our bodies, right? Healed enough so we can start processing the stuck trauma. Now we're sensitive to what's going in, and take time with ourselves to use our intuition. Yeah, from logic, we're never going to win, especially with high levels of empathy. Reason being, you can't, like I said in one of the videos, you can't out evil, right? So logically, it blows your mind that someone could be like this. We're never going to do it from our logical mind because we can't comprehend this behavior. It is absolutely just something I still find it hard to believe, so it's like, I'm not going to be able to think like them or be ahead of them if I'm just using my mind. I've got to use my intuition on things. I've got to be in my body enough to sense when something's off. Animals do this naturally. Children do it naturally. These corrupt creatures are limitless in their entitlement to you. I doubt I've never seen a heartfelt apology for them or any accountability. I forced my dad once to admit physical violence that he'd done, and he made some very cold comment about how, I thought about that, because I was speaking. I never confronted him, but this was years later when I was suffering with my mental health. I was having a breakdown mentally, and it was my childhood trauma. Things were in my face, and I needed to discuss it at that time. So he kind of acknowledged it happened, which sometimes they'll deny your entire reality, or a lot of the time. He did acknowledge it, but there was no heartfelt apology at the time. Again, I'm still wanting to love and be loved by him. So in my body and in my intuition, I knew his response was off. In my head, I wanted daddy back. The daddy that I never had, the one that I would project on him while he would continue to abuse me. So some people, now you are chemically trained to respond to the narcissist in a certain way. They have messed with your mind and they've messed with your physicality and energy field. So you now get sort of high and low emotions, and your body's doing it automatically. It's a trained response, right? So in the Hoover stage, unfortunately, you're probably going to get a high. You're going to feel good. Sometimes it's because you feel powerful now because you think you've got an upper hand. You've never got an upper hand with a narcissist because you can't out evil, and they're just going to suck everything they can from you, especially at a time when you think everything's good. This is what happened to me in my last relationship. I just overextended my financial commitments. You know what I mean? thinking we'd be all right, and then of course the bigger the trap, the worse the behavior comes in, and I had to cut it out. And it was I mean, let's just say it wasn't convenient, and the assault on me, the brutality, unreal. So they're capable of devastating things. If they're not coming to you with any account, they don't care. They're not sitting in hell like you are, thinking about what they've done. They're not getting therapy, and if they do, they're normally forced to, and it's normally an act so that they look to tick a box, right? And they get off on outsmarting therapists, by the way. And they're so calm. You know, the therapists often will think that these people are the logical one, but it's not actually natural to be that calm in stressful relationship dynamics. And the hardest thing, it's why I really want to help us have words for things, for someone who's been abused, is to have the language around it, to be able to communicate, because we're very charged, right? So yeah, you look like the crazy one most of the time because you're being tortured. So with the Hoover, you're probably going to get a high, an adrenaline rush. You might even feel the same euphoria you did with the love bombing stage or some of the good times. Now, love bombing also doesn't look the same for everyone. They just know how to, whatever's going to get you, basically. If you can see this as kind of the same as if I took drugs, I'd get a bit of a high from it and a crash, then it's like, while I say trust your body and intuition, I'm talking about when you get regulated. Some of your physical responses in this abuse cycle, you can't trust as the truth, as in, I know I'm feeling euphoric, maybe this means we could be together. I told you at the beginning, 2 of the programs, the lies they put in your mind, are going to keep you questioning, is this a narcissist and will they change? Yes, you probably are, and if you're here, I'm sure it's a narcissist, and they don't change. It's a huge dark night of the soul awakening they'd have to go through. But while you're attached to them, they're in your life force energy, they're tapped into your field, and they're tapped into your spiritual protection and karma. So you have to break away energetically, psychically, physically. And, you know, why do you want the devil to hoover you? You've got to lose your mind on that one. You know, why do you want the devil to hoover you? You want to shut the door. You want to get these people out of your life. They are dangerous. You know, depending on, if you're here, I think you're dealing with a real narcissist. It doesn't get better, it gets worse. It costs you time. It costs you, my work, you're going to rebuild fast, right? But it's still a core level rehabilitation. And you will never forget, and I don't recommend we do forget, because again, we've had our realities denied for so long, what has happened to us. And the level of trauma in these relationships is devastating. So you really don't want to throw yourself under a bus if you can help it. Now, the other thing I would say on this, though, is most of us, me included, have gone through these cycles several times. It's a very strong attachment. So there is no shame here. If you go back, there's none. There's no shame for it. It's not, I don't, as I say, I get people energetically strong. I don't just say go no contact. I don't just recommend you leave if you're not ready for the emotional crash. I get you strong, and I get you in yourself, because from there, no contact's a natural progression, leaving's a natural progression. You know what I mean? It's all a natural side effect of getting yourself right. So there's no shame here. If I went back many times to narcissists, I mean, I know what it's like, right? But the truth is, when you're sovereign, when you're in the right energy, that you wouldn't want it anyway. You don't want it anyway, right? That's it, guys, for now. If you want to join Sovereign, you can. That's still open. And other than that, lots of love. I'll speak to you soon.